Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have some big news coming out of the LCS. Travis Gafford did an awesome interview this week with Vulcan where in my opinion, when I watched through the video, there was two main things that stood out to me. One, obviously the thing in the title, Vulcan responds to Jensen's opinions on C9. I made a video about Jensen's opinions on C9 earlier, and that was a really interesting discussion. I thought that made for a good video. And then also in the title, how he talks about how the team is integrating Perkz, which is another big statement that he makes. So again, it was good to hear what Vulcan had to say about maybe some of the trash talk Jensen had for Team Liquid, but then also how things are going with Perkz so far and how he feels about the team, because honestly his statement might surprise you guys, so make sure you stick around and actually get the full scoop on what Vulcan said, and also go check out this interview from Travis Gafford. He does an amazing job. He's putting out a ton of awesome content right now, and it's just good for the league scene when a ton of people are making awesome content. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you're not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. It's fast, it's free, it's easy, helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content. I think 70% of the people that watch my videos are still not subscribed. We just hit 6,100 subscribers, but hey, that 70% of people, that I see that as just more room to even keep growing bigger and bigger and bigger. I know we have that base of people that if they just click that button real quick, we can continue to soar, and that would be awesome. I would appreciate it so much. You guys have given me a ton of support, and if we can keep that going, that's even better. But I just appreciate everything you guys have already done for me. Dropping a like on this video as well does help me out a ton with YouTube algorithm. Getting my video out to more and more people, that would be great as well. If you do enjoy my content, if you want to support my channel. That being said, here we go. Travis Gafford is asking him pretty much, Jensen kind of called you guys out. Jensen said that he thinks Cloud9 downgraded this offseason. C9 lost the offseason, the good old meme once again. And he's just trying to get Vulcan's thoughts. He's what do you think? Do you think you guys downgraded? What's going on there? What is your response to Jensen? Which I actually love as a question from Travis Gafford, because I feel like sometimes interviewers and reporters, and sometimes even Travis himself, is kind of scared to ask these kind of like spicier questions, these more drama questions, these questions that might actually get some interesting answers out of these players, but as they go to learn, it makes for better content. It makes it all more entertaining. It makes the LCS as a whole better, because nobody just wants to hear the same old questions over and over again. And sometimes Travis just asks some absolutely bizarre questions as well, but maybe he's getting better. Maybe he's learning some stuff. I think he's definitely getting better as an interviewer, and that's awesome to see. He's asking some good questions, giving us that good content. Let's see what Vulcan had to say.
I don't know. I think it's very hard to argue that Perkz isn't a better player than Niski.
So first up, right away, I thought that was really interesting. I was kind of surprised that, I guess not surprised, but just to say that obviously most people would say or pretty much everyone would say Perkz is better than Niski, but I thought he might, I don't know, it's not like calling out Niski, it's not like trashing him or anything like that, but I don't know what their relationship was like, but just to give such a straight up answer like that, just to say that Perkz is straight up better than Niski, I don't know, just kind of felt weird talking about a former teammate in that way. But I mean, it's not wrong, I'm not saying Vulcan shouldn't have done that, but I was just a little bit surprised that he's like, yeah, I mean, he's better, but he does obviously go on to talk more.
So I don't know where he comes, where he gets this downgrade from. I guess he's probably mentioning or referring to top lane.
Well, also, and then yeah, he says obviously maybe he's referring to the top lane because he couldn't be referring to a downgrade in the mid lane. So I mean, that's good. They are confident in Perkz being able to bring obviously just an improvement in gameplay in the mid lane over Niski, but some of Jensen's concerns were the playstyle difference between Niski and Perkz, and that Niski maybe enabled huge carry threats of blaber, of zven to kind of be the playstyle for Cloud9 to bring them the success they had in the spring, obviously being able to go all the way to an LCS title, and Perkz coming in with a completely different playstyle, completely different mindset, completely different champion pool and just demeanor, and probably way that he plays the game and talks in game and demands resources and stuff. So I just thought it was really interesting that Vulcan doesn't seem too worried about that, and then obviously he's kind of taking it to the top lane. I'm sure he was about to defend Fudge and say that he doesn't believe he's a downgrade either. Travis cuts him off, but I mean, that's where we're at so far.
He said Perkz, sorry, and I should have elaborated. He also said that he felt like Perkz did so much for
he means Niski.
That's part of the thing where like maybe bringing Perkz in, he's not able to support the other players in a way that Niski was able to. I think that was his sort of broader argument.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think...
Also, it's interesting the fact that Vulcan didn't really know what he was talking about, that obviously the trash talk from Jensen never really got to the Cloud9 players, because it seems like Vulcan, was not aware of this. And I mean, that's probably a good thing. Obviously, you don't want your players to be too in tune with like the latest Reddit or Twitter or YouTube drama or whatever's going on. So it's good that, Jensen's talking some trash, but it's not getting to the Cloud9 players. It's not affecting them. Not that I would expect it to anyway, but I just thought that was an interesting note as well, that Vulcan is like, I don't really know what you're talking about. I haven't really heard that. I haven't really seen that.
there's like I don't want to say personality clash or like a play style clash between like me, blaber, and zven and Perkz. Obviously, we play the game in a very different way that Perkz wants to play it, but I don't think we're like unable to adapt to Perkz' playstyle. I think it's going to take time, right?
So this is what, and somebody commented this on my video the other day and asked me to give my thoughts on this. I told them the video was going to be out yesterday. It's coming out today. I'm sorry. I don't know, just different videos came up instead. But I wasn't trying to lie to you or anything. I did think I was going to post this video yesterday. We ended up getting to it today. But the fact that Vulcan says that him, blaber, and zven want to play the game a different way than Perkz does, and he thinks it is going to work out over time. But in a way, he is kind of confirming exactly what Jensen was saying. How Jensen, made those kind of conclusions just from scrimming them and just from his own ideas, obviously, about what Niski does and how Cloud9 played last year. Obviously, playing against them a ton, practicing against them, scrimming them, everything. And what he knows about Perkz, saying that, Perkz, he is great. He is amazing. As far as just straight up mid laner, he's going to be an upgrade over Niski. But is that necessarily what Cloud9 needs? Because again, we've seen big name players go over to teams before. It doesn't always work out for the better. The team doesn't always get better. We've seen super teams form and they don't always work out. And I don't think Cloud9 is quite a super team, but they are a very, very talented team. But again, these things don't always work out. Sometimes certain players cannot play well together. Certain ideologies or certain gameplay styles don't always go together. I'm not saying that's gonna happen for Cloud9, but I'm saying now we've heard Jensen say that, and now we're kind of getting a behind the scenes look of Vulcan saying that yes, Perkz disagrees with how we play, and that's kind of interesting because many people would say Perkz is so accomplished. He's done all these amazing things. Obviously, he has all these results, MSI title, World Final, so many LEC titles, that maybe Cloud9 should want to play the way that Perkz wants to play, but obviously Cloud9 has their existing style. I also think it's interesting that Perkz and zven maybe don't see the game completely the same either, because obviously they have a history together, both coming over from Europe, playing on teams previously. I would assume they would have a little bit more similar of a mindset, and I wonder what the C9 coaching staff feels like as well. But it does, at the least, it seems like Vulcan is admitting to us that there is a difference of ideology going on right now, and it could be part of the reason why we've seen maybe not as good of a Cloud9 start the season as we expected. Now, again, Vulcan is confident they'll be able to work this out over the course of the season. Who knows who's going to budge a little bit? Maybe it'll be Perkz. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like his personality, but I know he's talked about maybe trying to be more of a team player, and who knows if that'll be better or worse for Cloud9, or maybe blaber, zven, and Vulcan give a little bit and they go more Perkz' way. And again, who knows if that would be better in Cloud9? Just because something worked on G2 with those players and in Europe and in a completely different scene, players, styles, whatever, doesn't mean that it's necessarily what's going to be the best for Cloud9. But I do really think that's interesting. And again, I love that Vulcan is confident that they'll be able to work things out over the course of the season. He's not panicking or anything like that. But just because he thinks things are going to work out does not mean they are going to. So while he does try to downplay what Jensen said a little bit in terms of being an overall downgrade for Cloud9, he's saying, no, Perkz is better. We're going to be good. But he does kind of confirm some of what Jensen was saying as well, which I do think is really, really interesting and bring some validity and credibility to what Jensen's saying. Also, Jensen has been scrimming against his team. He's been practicing against his team a ton. He knows how they're looking so far. He knows how the team's doing so far. That doesn't mean they can't improve. Obviously, it's preseason. It's a long season ahead of us. We expect them to develop over the course of the year. But, he has some great insight. So, obviously, take everything that anyone says with a grain of salt. But, maybe there is something here.
To get comfortable with each other, but I think once we're at that level where we're all on the same page, I think we have a much higher ceiling than we did last year. We're not gonna go straight out of the door 9-0 like we did last year, right? Obviously we just dropped the game, so that's not possible anymore. But I think we have a much higher ceiling than we did last year. It's just gonna take some time to get there.
Very good.
So like he said, do they have a higher ceiling? Yes. I think that is pretty much not really even arguable. Obviously, they got a more talented player in Perkz in the mid lane. It depends what exactly you think about the top lane. Obviously, Fudge definitely has a higher ceiling than Licorice, just potential-wise, because we've maybe seen the best of Licorice before, and he maybe even seems like he's on a downward trajectory a little bit. He hasn't looked so good with FlyQuest yet this season. He didn't look so great to end the season with Cloud9. So again, I would agree with Vulcan that Cloud9's ceiling is higher. But that's the thing about ceilings and floors. they are completely hypothetical. Just because you have a higher ceiling, that does not mean you will ever reach those heights. That does not mean you will ever reach those limits. So many teams on paper have a certain ceiling that they never reach. Certain teams have a certain floor that they never reach, and they continually overachieve, or they just, are a solid team who never has to stoop down to that level. So I do think it's interesting. Again, I love that he's confident. He is saying all the right things, that it's going to take time. They're going to come all together. They're going to be good to go. Because they're a new roster. They have a new top laner. They have a new mid laner. They're still building up synergy. We're still only in the preseason. These things do take time to build up synergies and stuff. But again, a lot of the other teams are making some roster changes and having to build up synergies and stuff right now too. So Cloud9 shouldn't necessarily look worse than them. But building up synergies, confidence, shot calling, learning to play together, that's all one thing. But having completely different ideologies about how the game should be played, especially for veteran players who have been playing the game one way for years and years and years, especially Perkz coming from G2. He's been on G2 playing the game one way for a long time. He's been the guy over at G2 who's been able to dictate how things are going to go and how things do go. Maybe this Cloud9 team has only, been playing this style for a year or two together. They're still kind of new to it. But most of these guys have a ton of experience in the league and have a comfortable with their play style as well. So just being able to say, hey, we're just all going to get on the same page one of these days, that sounds great, but I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than maybe just saying that it's going to happen. Because again, if you have some rookies and you're trying to mold their play style and how they think about the game and everything, that's great. But again, a veteran player, they have that mindset ingrained in them once they get onto the Rift, how they think things are going to happen, how they think things should go, and what they're going to do when certain situations arise. And you can practice different styles, you can say you're going to do different styles or whatever, but once you get into a big game where the adrenaline's bumping and the pressure's on, I think you have a tendency to kind of fall back to those habits and those natural instincts and stuff. It is definitely possible to build up new habits. It is possible to train those things over time, but it might take a little bit longer than expected. And again, it might never get there. I do think Cloud9 is going to be okay in the long run. I do think they are a very, very talented team. I think they'll be able to figure things out. But will they ever reach their complete maximum potential? I don't know. And at this point, I still definitely favor Team Liquid as the best team in the league. And all of a sudden, I would not be too surprised if Cloud9 does not finish as the second best team in the LCS. I think Cloud9 should be going to Worlds no matter what. For sure, they're going to be a top 3 team. But would I be totally shocked if a team like 100 Thieves or Evil Geniuses, or maybe even by the end of the year TSM, is fighting with Cloud9 for that number 2 spot and is able to maybe even overtake them? No, I would not be completely shocked. I would still favor Cloud9 on paper. I still think they're the most talented team. I think they should be able to work things out. But man, getting some of these behind-the-scenes looks, getting the thoughts and opinions of not only the Cloud9 players, but players from other teams as well, has been pretty interesting so far. So again, shout out to Travis Gafford for this interview, for asking these good questions. Vulcan for the awesome responses. He's being transparent. I love that when we can get that great insight from players, from teams, and from a great content creator like Travis Gafford himself. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Again, it helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. I would appreciate it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think Cloud9 is in trouble because they kind of have some clashing of personalities? Or do you think it's no big deal and they'll be able to work it out in the end? Do you think this is just normal things that kind of a new roster goes through? Because I can see both sides of it for sure. Subscribe to update on my latest content. We're trying to hit 7K. Do your part. Help us out. Thank you so much. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.